This is a CBC podcast.
Everyone knows self-improvement can be tough.
This is some kind of a scam or joke or something, isn't it?
No.
Oh my God! Did you see the green stuff? That's what happens when you crack open a lobster.
He sounds like he needs to talk to somebody. That's all I can say.
Check out our new podcast, Personal Best, a self-improvement show for people who don't like self-improvement.
I'm trying my best! Oh, that felt great.
Subscribe now wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Conversations about money aren't always the easiest to have, but the Canadian Foundation for Economic Education says we should talk to kids about it early and often. The foundation president is in St. John today. Gary Rabbior is here to spread his message and recognize a local vice principal for his work promoting financial literacy. Good morning, Mr. Rabbior.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. What are some examples of things we should be teaching our kids about money?
Well, first of all, having the discussion and getting it started is the rule number one, because you want to establish that relationship and dialogue with your child at an early age and get them curious and asking questions. When we're asked about that, often it's surprising because we talk about financial literacy much more than numbers and what's the right credit card to pick. It really is your attitude, your behavior, how you make decisions, and how you go about considering money in your life. And starting at a young age, you can start to develop those early behaviors in young people that are a lot easier to do than later on when those behaviors become entrenched and you actually have to try and change them. So one of the most important things we think to get across to young people is that whenever you make any decision in life, and particularly those with your money, you face a trade-off. You're making a decision of one thing over something else. And what else are you giving up today or in the future? And if you stop and consider that, you invariably will make, over time, better financial decisions. It's like when you go to the mall and you say, I'm going to come back, I'll think about it, and you never do. It's because you're giving it that second thought and considering your options. And that's one of the most important things, I think, with young people. And again, what surprises people when we talk about money is that developing a sense of self-efficacy in your child, and that is their belief that they can set a goal and accomplish it, will actually show up in their life behavior, but in their financial behavior. Because if you develop that confidence in a child, you won't have to get them to budget and plan. They will budget and plan because they will feel they're empowered to control things in their own life. They'll have the confidence that I can set my sights on that. I can get there. But if you fuel that confidence, ultimately it will affect their financial decision making. It'll keep them in control of their financial life when everybody tries to tell them what's good for them, and they know best what's good for them. And it's that kind of discussion we want parents and teachers to get into with their kids, so that it's not just doing calculations and whatever. It's your attitude to life, it's attitude toward decision making and making good financial decisions.
How do you begin that conversation?
Well, we have a program actually coming up on April 18th called Talk with Our Kids About Money Day, and it's been very successful across the country. A shout out to Scotiabank, who lets us do that program and supports us in it. Last year we had about 6,000 schools across Canada participating in it. And what it is we ask for one day, and on that one day, ask teachers and parents to talk with your kids about money. And on the website, talkwithourkidsaboutmoney.com, we have lesson plans for teachers, and we have activities for parents organized by the age of your child. So 5 to 7, 8 to 10, 10 to 13, and so forth. And we try to do it in a very natural, fun, and engaging way. So movies you can watch, TV shows, books you can read, crafts you can make, trips you could take, something that's a natural experience from parent with a child that sets up the situation where the child will either ask questions or you can ask a question of the child and let the dialogue begin. And if you can do that at a young age and establish that relationship, then later on in life when things like mortgages and overextension on credit cards come up and kids have problems, they'll be more in a situation to have that comfortable discussion with you. Because we surveyed over 6,000 young people and we asked them, where and how do you want to learn about money? And we gave them apps and the internet and everything like that. And the number one place they identified was home. They want to learn at home. Number two is school. They want to learn at school. And so there's the opportunity there. We want to empower and get parents and teachers taking advantage of kids' desire to learn there and help them.
Well, is there an opportunity, though, to have a more structured and more consistent role of schools talking about money and teaching about money? I remember when there was an economics class in my high school. I didn't take it, but it was there and it was offered. I don't know if those types of things are still in school.
They are, and our economics is what I studied, so it's near and dear to my heart. Financial education, economic education, entrepreneurship and enterprise education, and career development are the 4 pillars that we think are important to helping a young person to build a successful life. There hasn't been a lot in schools historically. It's increasingly being integrated into programs. In some provinces, they're actually instituting new compulsory units on financial literacy. That's happening in PEI. It's happening in Ontario. There's a new financial literacy compulsory course in Quebec. So there is an evolution, there's a growth, there's a greater recognition that this is important. But most people of the older generation will say, I never got that in school. And I've been doing this for many years, and every conversation is, geez, that's important. I wish I'd had that in school. We're trying to get it so that the future generation can say, thank goodness I had that in school.
Not to look back with rose-colored glasses, though, but things were different for the older generations in terms of what you needed to know about your financial situation and what was offered in terms of how you could improve it.
Oh, in the older days, and who knows how far back that goes, but you had a credit card and a savings account and a checking account, and you moved your money back and forth between those two. But the world of money and finance, all the way to the complexities of cryptocurrencies and fintechs and whatever evolving now. There's so many. Life doesn't actually have to be that complex if you actually are in control and make good decisions, but it certainly seems complex. And what we have to do is help young people understand the world that's unfolding. What are the key things for you to know? How is it you best go about making your decisions? Because there's so many options now, so many products, so many choices you can make, so many people trying to influence what you do with money. The more complex the world of money has become, the more vulnerable people are. When you move from checking accounts and savings accounts into debit cards and things like that, the opportunities for frauds and scams, the evolution of the internet, that has further accelerated that. So there's a lot of vulnerabilities that people have out there that financial education can help equip our young people to contend with and also to stay in control of their own lives.
Well, knowing my own spending habits, I wonder if I'm the person to be giving advice to my children. I don't know if I'm confident enough. Do you find that with parents that they don't know where to start?
We find that they're not so much where to start because there's some natural triggers you can use, but their confidence in their ability to provide help to their kids. And they'll often say, I made so many mistakes. Who am I to actually educate my kid about money? And what we say to them is that makes you one of the best educators around, because some of the best lessons we get are from mistakes. And if you've made those mistakes, you can help your kid not make those mistakes. And so we want to really try to develop more confidence in parents, but you'll find that it's not rocket science. And the kinds of things you're dealing with your kids here aren't the details of derivatives and things like that. It's really helping to guide them in staying in control when advertising is bombarding them, when credit limits are being extended, when mortgages are being offered far beyond what they feel comfortable assuming and all like that, and to be able to stay within their own world, to be able to set their own limits and not get into the stress that so many Canadians have done over time because they were more vulnerable to all those pressures that made them spend when they shouldn't, borrow when they shouldn't, borrow amounts beyond what they're comfortable with. That's basically what we're trying to do, is help kids stay in control and avoid the stress that so many Canadians work under now.
Who are you going to be recognizing today?
Vice Principal Paul Hickey. Across the country, we are trying to recognize those who are championing the cause. And Paul is leading the way at Forest Hills School. He's run a money fair, which many teachers are doing now across the country, which is like a science fair where pairs of kids pick a topic about money, do research, and prepare a creative display. The school sets them up in a common area, and parents and teachers and kids come in and talk with them about what they've learned about money. And the kind of change that we're looking to enact across the country to get this more into the schools, to get kids more prepared, has to be led by, in many cases, individual teachers and educators who are making a difference. And Paul Hickey's making a difference here, and we wanted to recognize that. So,
tell us again where we can find those resources.
The website is talkwithOurKidsAboutMoney.com, and there's other resources at our website, CFEE.org.
So nice to talk to you this morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Gary Rabbior is president of the Canadian Foundation for Economic Education.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts/podcasts.